Hello everybody, and welcome back to Sean's Story and Adventure channel. Today, and I'm still new at this, so bear with me, I want to discuss strange things in the Philippines, or strange things that I find strange about the Philippines. It's not a bad post, it's nothing bad about the Philippines. I've embraced the culture since I've known Karina over 12 years now. But this will be a quick one based on my personal experience and the weird culture shock that I had when I went to the Philippines a couple years back, excuse me. So let's start with traffic, rules of the road. Here in the United States, we have traffic laws and rules of the road. Different story in the Philippines. That was one of the very first things that I noticed is the traffic. I'm sure there's traffic laws out there, but are they enforced? No. Traffic, boy, you gotta have thick skin if you're driving out there. I've never saw any road rage. But one thing that did surprise me was, let's say I'm in the passenger seat of a van. We have 14 people in the van. And all of a sudden I look to my right, and there's a family of 4 passing us on the right on a motorcycle. You got dad in the front, 2 kids sandwiched in the middle, mom on the back. And they just zip right by us in this crazy traffic and zoom right out in front of us. Scared the crap out of me. Anyways, yep, traffic and road rules in the Philippines, rules of the road. I guess you got to get used to it. I know a couple people out there that actually do drive, expats from the Western civilization of the world that are out there, and they do it. Some of them don't. A couple of guys choose just to take jeepneys and tricycles, which is probably what anybody in their right mind would do if they value the safety of their own vehicle. So anyways, let's move on. The electrical grid. So when we first landed in Manila and we're driving to our hotel, which we stayed at for a couple days before we went into a province, one of the very first thing I noticed when I stood outside hearing all the jeepneys going by, that was exciting. And then I looked up in the air at the traffic poles and the traffic lines, and it literally looked like spaghetti. Not edible spaghetti, but a wire conundrum. And I understand this is the heat issue in the Philippines, but their power grid, at least where we were at on the main island, they have scheduled, well, out here in the United States we call them blackouts. In the Philippines they call them brownouts. I don't know why. I'll have to do some sleuth work on that as to why they're called that. But they have scheduled brownouts. You can be browned out from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or however they decide to schedule it. And it happens. So don't expect consistency with your power out there. Meaning if you have a computer and you're doing this online thing out there, all the guys out there that are doing it, and women, men and women alike, you have to have that these days. They have a UPC, an uninterrupted power supply or whatever it is. So when the power goes out, it's not going to fry your computer. So yeah, electric sucks there. Let's move on. Another strange thing I noticed about being in the Philippines was pollution and the way they handle it. Yes, we all understand that Philippines is a developing country. It's about 79 going on 80 years old officially. And things are progressing, but nothing happens overnight. So when we arrived there was a lot of, how do I say it? I'll try and keep this quick. Signage from political people that are trying to better the city of Manila, let's say. The streets were kind of dirty, but the pollution and all this has changed since I've been there. for the most part, not completely. Excuse me. They have these weird, like one of the weirdest rules. Okay, I'm a cigarette smoker, unfortunately, but that's beside the point. As far as pollution goes, if you're in a major city like Metro Manila, or pretty much anywhere, and this is something that they do enforce, you can't smoke a cigarette walking down the sidewalk, or you can't smoke a cigarette in public because of pollution. But on the other hand, you have all these jeepneys and all these tricycles. You know, these jeepneys are running on diesel fuel, and they're built, and there's many, many, many out there. Those of you that know. Those of you don't, now you know. Jeepneys are very predominant out there as far as transportation goes, but they're belting out thick black smoke. Okay, so you can't smoke a cigarette on the street, and also they don't want you vaping either for some weird reason. That could be because of the flavor thing, but I don't do the vape thing, so I don't know. Can't smoke cigarettes on the streets, but those jeepneys can be belting out that pollution, and also burning trash. And this is something that they're working on, but people are still going to do it because, you know, people in general, worldwide, not just there, don't like to listen. They literally, not they, but some people literally, when burning their trash, they're burning everything. They're burning plastic with their trash. Some people use plastic to start their charcoal to do barbecues. That's just something that I don't think I can ever understand, and hopefully they can work on that issue as far as the pollution goes. It's going to be a tough one with jeepneys, but hopefully they can work on that and come to some sort of resolution in the years to come. Next on the list is pet laws. Here in the United States, we have things like animal control, animal shelters, animal cruelty laws. Out there in the Philippines, I'm sure they do have something, but is it enforced? I don't think so. Even in the city, Metro Manila, or, you know, where there's cars and traffic, you'll have street dogs running around there. Sometimes you'll see a street cat. I did. That kind of blew me away when I was there. And even in the subdivisions, like where we stayed in really nice gated communities, security guards at the gate, you know, and all that jazz. Walking around, you know, there's a lot of animals, and people have animals, and that's people's right to have animals. But what broke my heart, you know, is seeing, you know, a couple instances where, you know, they're behind the gate, the animals are dogs, they're on leashes, you know, attached to the wall, so they don't, you know, because, you know, just dogs on leashes. But you have, like, you know, let's say one place I walked by, there was 4 dogs, you know, 3 of them were kind of healthy, and the other one was a bag of bones. And they're sitting out there in that hot, baking sun with no shade. Okay, things like that don't fly out here in the United States for obvious reasons, and that's an issue that, you know, it's just weird. I read a story of, or not read a story, I watched a vlog of a gentleman that I follow real quick here. He had a dog problem in his neighborhood, okay, and he lives in a subdivision as well, and the dogs were everywhere. So one day the barangay, the city, came out and started snatching up these dogs to get rid of the problem. And the ones that they couldn't catch, they were spearing. This is the story that I saw. And the next day, all those dogs were gone. What they did with them, God only knows. But from what he was saying, there were some kuyas that were tricycle riders, and yeah, they were having lunch the next day. And I'm not saying that everyone eats dog out there, but it does happen. So animal rights is something that I found really strange out there, being in the Philippines, and I hope that that can be addressed in the very near future. Now, on the lighter note, one thing that kind of blew me away, I found it very strange, was fast food restaurants. Like Wendy's, McDonald's. Of course, they got the Jollibee out there. I didn't find it too strange that the menus were a little bit different from the United States menu that we're all used to. I mean, when you go to McDonald's, they're not going to have rice and fried chicken and gravy on the menu. But that's just how it is out there. That's cool. But what I found strange was, okay, you sit down in a restaurant here, a fast food restaurant, and you eat your meal. And then when you're done, you take your tray to the garbage can, you dispose of your leftover food and papers, and you put the tray on top of, where it's supposed to go. You don't do that in the Philippines. When you're done with your meal, you just leave your plate there, just like as if you were at an actual sit-down restaurant where you tip the waiter type of thing. But yeah, I found that strange. I went to pick up my tray and go put it away and get rid of it, and the family's like, "Oh no, what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, it's like, no, you just leave it there." And then I found out that that's just how it is. That's a strange thing. I don't mind it. It's not hurting anything, like the other things that I was just discussing. But yeah, so fast food restaurants are a trip because the menus are going to be different. They'll still have your same stuff on there, but they're going to have other things. And also, if you're dining in, you don't, they take care of it for you when you're done, like a real restaurant would. So moving on. And one final thing, what I found strange about being in the Philippines. Roosters everywhere. I'm talking everywhere. In the cities, in the provinces, in the jungle, wherever we went, there were roosters everywhere. I actually, when we were visiting Karina's uncle, I witnessed the murder of a chicken, and we ate it for lunch. And it didn't taste like any chicken out here you get in the United States. It's all injected with water and all that crap. Plump them up, keep their weight up. This was an actual yard chicken, and it just tasted like chicken, but it just tasted different. But yeah, there are roosters everywhere. Cockfighting out here in the United States is a punishable offense. It's a crime, because that applies to the rules of animal cruelty and animal rights. Different story in the Philippines. Some people, I'm on the fence with it because I went there and saw things personally. I didn't see any actual cockfights, but I did see them rehearsing and practicing with boxing gloves. They say this is a chicken foot. They put boxing gloves on them. You buy them for these chickens. They're made for them, for these roosters. And they're little rubber balls that go and strap them to their feet. And they practice those chickens just like that. They're not hurting each other. I never saw any chickens kill each other, roosters kill each other when I was there. But yeah, there's roosters everywhere. It was really hard for me to get used to the cock-a-doodle-doo, especially in the mornings. They're just going at it. Definitely a natural alarm clock. But just seeing them everywhere, it's just the culture. And I have no problem with it. I mean, people have them for pets. Some people, from what I've heard, some families that have rooster farms, or a few roosters, the rooster eats before the family. Before COVID, and like Karina's nephew, he has roosters. He's got some roosters. Yeah, they're getting old because he can't do what they do with them due to the social distancing and the China virus and all that stuff. So, yep, roosters everywhere. That's not going anywhere. Cockfighting's not going anywhere. That's a source of income. Some people out there in the Philippines make serious money doing that. But that's just how it is. And I'm on the fence with it. When I first heard about that, I already knew this is long before everyone knows about cockfighting. I thought it was cruel. Out here in the United States, I wouldn't go for it. Out there in the Philippines and other countries that legally promote and support that, that's their jam. It's legal. I wouldn't go out there personally and bet on a chicken's life. But if there's a yard chicken and Ate's gonna cut that thing's head off and do her magic. Yeah, the food's good. So I think we're gonna about wrap this up here. There's a few more on the list, but I don't want to keep this video too long. I hope I didn't bore anybody too much. Perhaps I did. Still only have 28 subscribers, but it is what it is. And I hope you all have a good day. And until next time, see you.